I take you back to 1960, I don't know when, and I, Michael Savage, am a mere kid in a hotel in the Catskill Mountains, and on stage there appears a young comedian with a lot of black hair, and the owner of the hotel is an ex-boxer, a pugilist. Of course, the people didn't understand that he was the greatest satirist of our time, and they fired him the next day. And I remember him very well. He doesn't remember me, but he's with us right now. Jackie Mason, welcome to the Savage Nation. Jackie, a real honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, my friend. Happy
Jackie, I'm eating my kishkas out over a story I read this morning. 98 prominent Hollywood Jews back the Iran nuclear deal in an open letter. How can you deal with this?
I'm not surprised. The Hollywood crowd is always on the wrong side of every issue. They're always so super liberals, and they always support anything that's said by anybody who's liberal. If they hear a liberal voice, they don't know what he said, they're not sure, they never read a paper. They're basically a mob of ignorant people. They're just egomaniacs who spend their whole life standing in front of a mirror. If you talk to them anything but themselves, they never heard about it, they never saw it, but have an opinion on it. And they have it, and then they become furious because they hear that the conservatives or the Republicans are on this side, and all they know is that they're on the other side. They don't know why, they don't know what the subject is. You could bet your life that all these people who just signed this don't know what they signed. They didn't even have a piece of paper in front of them. All they know is which side is the president on, and they know
that's it.
Liberal.
So Jackie, they sign a letter saying give Iran the bomb so they can kill Jews, and they're Jewish members of Hollywood. Are they crazy?
Do you know that when they take a poll in Hollywood of the opinions of the actors, by far the biggest percentage of them are not even in favor of Israel against the Arabs. They're on the Palestinian side of the issue. It's hard to believe. It's unimaginable. When you tell this to people, do you know the Democrats, the Democratic Party membership? You remember at the convention when they mentioned the idea of Jerusalem should belong to Israel, that Jerusalem should be an Israeli city?
Yes, I do remember what happened. Yes, the Democrats voted against it.
They started booing it. They started booing the country. The Hollywood crowd hates Israel. You would think Israel is a Nazi organization because they hate Israel more than the Nazis.
They hate Israel more than they hated Hitler. So here's another one for you, Jackie. Hillary, the FBI picked up Hillary Clinton's email server, and guess what, Jackie? It was blank. It was blank. Right. What do you think about that?
She doesn't say they picked it up. She says she gave it to them. She gave it to them because they were there there were 12 FBI men standing in front of her, and they said, "Where is it?" So she says, "I gave it to them." You would think she came to their house and she purposely surprised them with it. You would think she volunteered it. You would think she did them a personal favor to make sure they have more evidence, so she decided to help them out. It turns out they were standing in front of them, 12 FBI men with their guns in their faces. You know what's going to happen? The Clinton machine is very powerful in this country. She and her husband could get away with anything. I won't be surprised if the FBI winds up in jail.
For breaking the law, for breaking the law,
for disturbing her because they came into the house an hour too early. They said,
"Yeah, no, that's true. I didn't think of it that way. They did disturb her. She's in the middle of a very important campaign."
You would never,
Jackie, Jackie, you don't remember me. This is very funny. You were on my show many years ago, 12, 15 years ago, and I once saw you backstage in Las Vegas with a group. You were very friendly, but I reminded you then that I was a kid at the Riverview Hotel in South Fallsburg, New York. That was one of the first hotels you ever appeared in. Do you ever remember those nights, those early days?
Sure, I remember those days very well. Those days I went from one hotel to the other every day. I did the same thing that Hillary does, but taking a different position every day from one to the other. Do you know that Hillary has been in almost every position on every issue 20 different times within an hour and a half? She has a foreign policy that's about 15 minutes. Then she hears that Sanders is coming. Bernie Sanders has a different position, so she moves to his position. Then she hears that Elizabeth Warren has another position, so she turns to that position. She turns left, turns right, turns left again, depending on who the opposition is and where it's coming from. If Elizabeth Warren went further left, she'd follow her all the way down off a cliff. because she has to make sure she outdoes Elizabeth Warren. Then she finds out that Bernie Sanders is going in the opposite direction. All of a sudden, she's on that side. She's been turning and twisting. She's getting dizzy from being from so many positions every 15 minutes. This Yenta has no conscience and no policy. She has no policy. The only policy is to run from the police. The police is her policy.
Jackie, let me ask you something. You and I both come from New York. You're a little older than I am, but we know the type of Jewish communist that Bernie Sanders is. Lifetime member of the radical socialist group since he's a child. How can this man attract such attention in a nation like this when he's such a schlemiel?
I'm not at all surprised that he's attracting that much attention. It's all an anti-Hillary vote. People are so nauseous from her with her different positions on every issue every 15 minutes. She's such a floundering, preposterous character that they want anybody but her. They can't find anybody, so they saw a guy with a big mouth screaming, and they said, thank God, at least there's somebody there. And they'll follow him any place just to get away from her.
All right. Oh, no, that explains why. I mean, unto himself, the man is not that appealing. He looks like a typical 1930s ILGW socialist screaming on a soapbox in Union Square.
That's right. He sounds ridiculous. He sounds preposterous, but they don't care. They don't care as long as they hear another voice coming from someplace. It could come from a sanitarium, and they'd go there. They'd go any place to get away from her.
Okay, here's a tough one for you. Jackie, I happen to favor Donald Trump. Maybe I'm stepping into a quicksand with you. What do you think about Donald's candidacy?
I think Donald Trump is a phenomenon. It's an unbelievably brilliant thing that's happening, because they talk about people tapping in. You hear the word tapping in, you think you're going to a vaudeville show. It sounds like it's vaudeville. Everybody is talking about tapping in, that he's tapping into a nerve that represents the fact that everybody in America is nauseous and furious about politicians in general. Every politician makes a speech, and after the speech he gets lost, and nothing happens. Then he makes another speech, nothing happens again. And they know these are recorded, meaningless speeches like Rubio. You ever listen to Rubio? Rubio sounds like a broken record.
Rubio sounds like a kid, a child, selling ice cream on the streets of Miami. Jackie, you're going to be performing October 24th, which is very near to this date, in Westbury, New York, in Long Island, at the NYCB Theater. What will the performance be? Another one-man show, Life According to Me? What's it going to be?
Every time I do a show, there's no one specific subject or one issue. I talk about everything that's happening in general, everywhere in America or everywhere in the world. But what I talk about the presidency, I talk about what a preposterous system the presidency is. Take a look at the way they run these debates. Is there anything more idiotic than the debates? You have 1 minute to express all of your thoughts about foreign policy, America, domestic policy, anything that's happening everywhere in the world, and you have to do it in 1 minute. If you happen to breathe a little slow, you lost the debate. And you have to make sure you tell a better joke than the next guy, because they don't remember any policy or any position. They just remember who told the best one-liner or the best joke. The next day, that's all they're talking about. So it becomes a comedy contest. If this was 50 years ago, Groucho Marx would be the president.
So, are you a fan of Megyn Kelly, the woman who attacked Donald Trump? I mean, you probably saw right through her act, right?
But that was such a phony, stupid, preposterous question that she asked him, and then she followed up with a more preposterous question, and then you know what happens? What happens is that a guy like him is liable to become president because he doesn't have any credentials. This is the only job in the world, is the presidency of the United States, where you have to have no background, no credentials of any kind, and you have to prove that you don't know nothing about the subject in order to get the job. Did you ever hear of a job where you have to know nothing in order to get, even if you want to become a plumber, you have to prove you have experience in plumbing. But to become a president, you have to have no experience, no knowledge, no information. You have to never heard anything about the job. In order to become a plumber, why do you think the toilets in America are working so perfectly? But the government is full of it.
Well, take a look at Barack Obama. He had no experience. Look where we are today as a result of it, and yet he gets away with it. The man still has charisma. How is it possible, after so many disastrous policies and dragging America over the cliff of socialist insanity, he still has a popularity rating that's so high.
His popularity rating is so high because he doesn't know what he's doing. That's exactly why his popularity is so high. Because listen to this, in America today, if you want to be a president, take a look at what happens. You have to know nothing about anything because there's no preparation necessary, and there's no standard. Take a look at you. They protect you from a bad haircut in this country. If you want to become a barber, you have to pass a test. The union demands that you guarantee they have to graduate high school to become a barber. Did you know that you have to graduate high school? There's a standard to become a barber, but there's no test to become a president. They protect you in this country from a bad haircut.
When you were on a couple of weeks ago, you said something about people in New York City are more protected from a bad tuna fish sandwich than they are from a nuclear weapon. What was that about?
But that's what I said. I said this a number of times. This is so true. They give you 28 days. 28 days they give Iran to find out exactly what he's doing over there with creating a bomb. They give him 28 days notice. So for 28 days, they assume he's going to do nothing. He's just going to wait to show you the bomb. For 28 days, he could put the bomb in the toilet. He could leave it in the kitchen. He could take it with no fear. He could do whatever he wants with it. Days to show you the bomb. But it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing in New York City. When they inspect the restaurant, they give you no notice. You just pop in and you catch them. They put from a bed fish. There's no protection.
Jackie, you're the greatest satirist of our time. I love your humor, and I hope that the people will visit your website, JackieMason.com, and they will flood the Westbury NYCB Theater on October 24th to see the Mark Twain of our time, the Yiddish Mark Twain of our time.
Thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much. What a kick it was.